A powerful cold front will bring big changes to the United States over the next few days as cooler temperatures and lower humidity moves through from north to south. And in that transition, severe weather with damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes will still be in play across the United States. And I am here to give you the forecast on it for your backyard. So if you are a fan of straightforward, accurate, and reliable weather coverage, whether it's across southern Canada, the United States, or the tropics, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We do daily weather forecast video updates on here. Make sure to like the video, give it a thumbs up, and share it with a friend, family member, and on social media, helping to get all of this information passed along to as many people as possible. Let's look at the severe weather forecast for today. This is Tuesday, July 29th, and in the yellow, stretching from southern portions of Montana through parts of Wyoming down into southwestern South Dakota, much of the Cornhusker state of Nebraska, western portions of Iowa there, and northeastern Colorado. In yellow, that is where scattered severe thunderstorms will be possible today. In dark green, stretching from near Chicago and northeastern Illinois all the way back into western Montana, isolated severe thunderstorms are possible there in the dark green. Now, the biggest threat will be for significant damaging winds in excess of 75 miles per hour, stretching from the North Platte area to Lincoln and Omaha, Nebraska. We're going to be keeping a very close eye on this as we go through the afternoon and the evening. These damaging winds, if they get over 75 miles per hour, can lead to a lot of damage, including, downing trees and branches and even power lines. So power outages will be possible. The hail threat is more confined to the northern Rockies, so portions of southern Montana over here into Wyoming and the western Dakotas. And then we have a tornado threat less than 2%. So it's mainly a wind and hail threat today. The tornado threat, while it still can have a tornado, it's a very unlikely chance overall. Now, going into tomorrow on Wednesday, July 30th, we have isolated severe thunderstorms possible in dark green back across southeastern Montana, much of Wyoming, western South Dakota, the panhandle of Nebraska into Colorado, or from portions of Missouri, Illinois, eastward, all the way through the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and up the I-95 corridor into the Northeast, where millions of people could be impacted from Boston to Providence, Hartford, New York City, into Philly and Baltimore, Trenton, New Jersey. So a lot of areas over there, a lot of population. So we're going to be watching out for that. Thankfully, tomorrow, though, the tornado threat as well as today is 2%. So it's unlikely, mainly looking at a damaging wind and a hail risk. We'll start in the central United States. We'll go to the eastern U.S. and then the western U.S. after that. Here at noon today, we are seeing very quiet skies after what was a derecho that moved through portions of the upper Midwest, causing damage of up to around 100 mile per hour winds that were ripping roofs off of homes, downing trees, uprooting trees, lots of power outages, especially from Iowa there into southern Minnesota and southeastern South Dakota. My prayers go out to everybody affected by that storm yesterday. Now, while we're not expecting a derecho today, we are seeing the thunderstorms really pick up in intensity back here across portions of the western plains. So if you were out here into Nebraska, for example, Colorado, and into the western Dakotas, be watching out for the hail risk as well as the significant damaging winds. As these storms cluster up there into central Nebraska this evening, they will have a significant damaging wind risk with them, along with very heavy blinding rainfall. And this is for the North Platte area over into the Lincoln area, Kearney, all the way eastward into Omaha. So if you live into portions of Nebraska here along the I-80 corridor, it could get very noisy as we go through this evening for thunderstorms. And then as we go into after midnight, the big cluster will move from Nebraska eastward into western and eventually central Iowa, posing a risk as well for flash flooding rains, as these will be moving over the same areas, training over the same areas from west to east. And then as we go through the day on Wednesday, we're going to see a line of thunderstorms push into eastern Iowa and northern Illinois, producing a threat for some damaging wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour with this. Very heavy blinding rain, frequent lightning, and some smaller hail. And that will be Wednesday morning, and then with additional storms filling in into the afternoon and evening. So it's going to be a wet day of it across the southwestern Great Lakes and the Midwest. And looking at a swath, pretty decent swath here for many areas, seeing 2 to 4 inches of rain from portions of South Dakota into Nebraska, eastward into southern Minnesota, much of the Hawkeye state of Iowa, southern Wisconsin, north central Illinois, and over here into northern Indiana. 2 to 4 inch rain swath here across the Corn Belt as we go between now and Thursday morning at 7 a.m. on July 31st. Into the eastern U.S. here, very quiet, similarly like the central U.S. is right now at noon. And as we go into the afternoon, we're going to see these pop-up showers and storms mostly favored into the Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, and Florida. And these storms are going to have slow storm motions, which means they're not going to be moving very quickly, but they could produce some locally heavy rainfall, smaller hail, and some gustier winds. Once we lose the daytime heating and the sun sets, we're going to lose the instability, and the thunderstorm coverage will decrease, and the intensity of those storms will decrease as well. Starting off Wednesday, again, very quiet, outside of a shower maybe up into northern Maine, a shower or storm down here near the Gulf Coast or the eastern Carolinas. Things will be very quiet. 99% of us will start off Wednesday dry in the east, and Wednesday will be another day where we have those pop-up afternoon 3, 4, 5 o'clock time frame for those storms. Slow storm motions again, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, into the Carolinas there in Florida, and including eastern portions of Tennessee. Some locally heavy downpours will be possible. And then again, once we see the sunset, we're going to see those storms decrease in coverage and intensity. It looks like a complex of storms will be moving into Indiana, into portions of northwestern Ohio as we go into Thursday morning. That could bring some heavier rain to places like Fort Wayne, Indianapolis, Toledo, and Detroit by the Thursday morning commute. And that could produce maybe an inch or two of rainfall up in those areas. South Bend, Gary, Fort Wayne, up into Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Detroit, and Toledo, keeping an eye on that. There will be plenty of areas that stay dry, and then down here in the southeast, we got those pop-up storms. Wherever they develop, could get an inch or two out of that. Other folks may barely get a sprinkle of rainfall through Thursday morning, July 31st. Into the western U.S. we go. A couple showers here from New Mexico up there into Colorado and Wyoming here at noon. We're going to see those storms really becoming numerous, widespread, in fact, across portions of the Rockies from Montana down through Wyoming, Colorado, and New Mexico this afternoon. Locally heavy rainfall possible with those, as well as hail. And then that all will move eastward as we go to 7 a.m. on Wednesday. So starting off Wednesday, quiet out west, and then we're going to see even more storm activity. Again, numerous to widespread across the Rockies in the Pacific Northwest, Oregon, Northern California, Northwest Nevada, Idaho, western portions of Montana, even eastern Washington state starting to see some showers and storms from Wednesday afternoon into the evening. But as soon as the sun sets, we lose the instability. The coverage and intensity of the storms decrease there as well. Rainfall is going to be most likely across the eastern portions of the Rockies, where we could pick up over a half inch or an inch of rainfall, especially from portions of Montana down into eastern Wyoming, eastern Colorado, and into eastern New Mexico and West Texas. Mostly dry across the west, although there could be some showers and storms across Idaho, Oregon, into portions of northern California, eastern Washington state, but really rainfall amounts are going to be at 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch in these areas. Going into Thursday, July 31st, to round out the month of July, no severe thunderstorm risk is forecast there on Thursday from the Storm Prediction Center, which is great news. But there will be thunderstorms around here, and they could produce some locally heavy rainfall, some smaller hail. Would not be surprised to see some 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts with some of these storms in the mid-Atlantic, back into the lower Ohio and Tennessee River Valley as we go into Thursday afternoon and evening. As we go into Friday, August 1st, we turn the page to a new month. We got some scattered showers and storms down here from the lower Mississippi Valley into the southeast. Big high pressure bringing in and ushering in a lot of drier air, so cooler temperatures, and also lower humidity to the upper Midwest by Friday, the end of the week. Once we go to Saturday, August 2nd, more storms, isolated to scattered coverage across the southeast, maybe a couple storms in the Dakotas there. And then finally on Sunday, August 3rd, a couple isolated storms as we go into the Central Plains in Kansas and Nebraska by Sunday, August 3rd. Rainfall amounts will be heaviest across the southeast once we get to Thursday. So Thursday through Sunday, we're going to be seeing heaviest rains across the Carolinas, down into Georgia and along the Gulf Coast, where an inch or two of rain will be possible. Enhanced rainfall totals down into North and South Carolina will be possible for Raleigh, Norfolk, Wilmington, down into the Columbia area, Myrtle Beach, and Charleston. Could be seeing potentially a 3 to 6 inch swath of rainfall down there during that 4-day period, again between Thursday and Sunday. Powerful cold front will bring an end to our heat wave across the Midwest and Great Lakes. As we start today, we got upper 70s to mid 80s across the northern plains, upper Midwest. Record heat again, upper 90s, low 100s to the south. Well, that will come to an abrupt end as we go towards the end of the week. Here's the middle of the week. This is on Wednesday, July 30th. Tomorrow, more of the 70s up here into the upper Midwest. Lower humidity. The dew points will be much lower as well. Then we go to Thursday, July 31st. That line of 70-degree weather moves even further to the south. And then Friday and Saturday, and even going into the weekend, notice how it cools off across the south. Yeah, look at that. The Carolinas into the upper 70s and low 80s. That is a stark contrast to what we saw a few days ago with temperatures in the upper 90s and low 100s. Now, with our daytime highs getting cooler, it only makes sense that our low temperatures will get cooler as well. It'll be a muggy and humid start to your Wednesday out there with record warm lows across the Mississippi Valley, especially from Memphis on southward and then eastward from there into the eastern U.S. into the 70s. That will stay the same down there on Thursday morning, but look at the 50s. So cracking open the windows could be something you could do, turning off the AC in the mornings across the upper Midwest there. And then look at that Friday, Saturday, Sunday morning. A lot of 50s, low 60s out there, and low humidity, most importantly, as well. Now let's look at the pattern as we go in the long range. So this is next week, Monday, August 4th through Friday, August 8th. Ridge of high pressure, the center of it is across the desert southwest and into the southern plains, such as Texas and Oklahoma, which we call the Red River Valley. And that will pump up some extreme heat down there across Arizona, New Mexico, and West Texas. Some of the heat will come back across the Midwest. It'll take some time, but I think by the latter half of next week, we'll start to heat up in places like Chicago, Kansas City, Des Moines, La Crosse, Green Bay, and the Minneapolis, the Twin Cities area. And that means we're going to have to watch the northern periphery of that ridge, just like we did with this last one. And it's a ring of fire pattern coming right back as we go into that last full week, last of the first week of August and the first half of the second week of August. You can see the airflow is clockwise around that. You can see a pretty powerful jet streak, and that is going to raise the alarm bell again for more thunderstorm clusters and potentially even a setup where a derecho may come back across the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and Ohio Valley. A derecho is a fast-moving line of storms, typically associated with widespread damaging winds, usually a 58 mile per hour or greater. In extreme instances, derechos could produce winds of 100 miles per hour or greater, embedded hail, tornadoes, and flash flooding risk with them as well. Not a guarantee, but definitely a pattern that is notorious for producing more derechos as we go into that last few days of the first week of August and the first half of the second week of August. That's what we're keeping an eye on. Now let's turn over to the tropics. So in the Atlantic, the National Hurricane Center, Miami, Florida, is not expecting any tropical cyclone activity over the next 7 days, which is the next week. That does include the Caribbean. That also includes the Gulf. And you can see the reason being is there is still a lot of Saharan dust, which is dry air coming off of Africa and into the main development region. And then that will usher across portions of the Caribbean, the Northwest Atlantic at times as well, but thinning out as it moves further to the west. Now, with that said, there will still be attempts of tropical cyclone activity in the eastern main development region, but as it pushes westward and it encounters drier air longer, it really will not survive to the Lesser Antilles, so we're not really keeping an eye down here very much on anything. The closer to home, though, over portions just off the coast of North Carolina, increasing odds of a tropical cyclone that could develop off of the cold front that's moving south, bringing all of us our nice weather as we go into the middle and late portion of the week. Well, that low pressure system could get hung up on the cold front and actually slowly move up the east coast there near the Carolinas and Virginia, and then eventually off of the east coast, but bringing several periods of showers and thunderstorms and some heavy rainfall in coastal areas of the Carolinas. So Norfolk, Wilmington, Myrtle Beach down to Charleston, Savannah down there into Georgia, even Jacksonville Beach area in northeast Florida could get some very heavy rainfall, anywhere from 3 to 6 inches between now and the first week of August, going through Thursday, August 7th. So that could produce some flash flooding. Be aware of that. What you're looking at now is the central Pacific Basin just south of Hawaii. We have a Category 3 hurricane, Hurricane Iona, and it looks very robust here on the satellite imagery, and right on its heels to its east is Tropical Storm Kelly as well. So we have a lot of active weather in the East Pacific and the Central Pacific Basin. Just look at it. You have Hurricane Iona, Category 3. You have a Tropical Storm Kelly. Right on the heels of that, you have a 60% chance of development. And then after that, in the Eastern Pacific Basin, you have two separate systems. One has a very high chance of developing, and one has a low chance of developing over the next 7 days. So walking you through Hurricane Iona, the good news about this is that even though it's a Category 3 and it has maximum sustained winds of 125 miles an hour, it's moving west at 13 miles per hour. So it's south of Hawaii. It's moving away from Hawaii here, but there could still be some indirect impacts as far as rip current risks and rough surf goes. It will remain a major hurricane through Wednesday morning and then dropping back to a Category 2 and then eventually a Category 1 hurricane by the time we get to Thursday and Friday, and then a post-tropical cyclone likely by the weekend or early next week. Now looking at Tropical Storm Kelly, also this will pass just to the south of Hawaii. This is a tropical storm at 40 mile per hour maximum sustained winds right now. This is also moving west at 13 miles per hour. Will remain a tropical storm through Wednesday morning and then a tropical depression once we get to Wednesday night and into Thursday morning. So that is what we're seeing with Tropical Storm Kelly. All in all, if we're looking here at the Central and the East Pacific Basin, again, Hawaii is going to get impacted indirectly by Hurricane Iona. It's such a powerful hurricane, Category 3. Again, rip current risks and rough surf may be something to watch there, especially on the southern edge of the Big Island. But largely, this will pass to the south, and Tropical Storm and then eventually Tropical Depression Kelly will be moving to the south of Hawaiian Islands as well. So Hawaii is in the clear, again, from any direct impacts, but the rip current risk and the rough surf could still be something to watch. Thank you all for watching today's weather forecast. If you like straightforward, accurate, reliable weather information across southern Canada, the United States, the tropics, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We do daily weather forecast breakdowns. We're going to have another video either later today or tomorrow, so make sure to stay updated on the forecast by watching my videos. Make sure all the post notifications are turned on so you're notified when and if I post a video or a live stream in the future. Like the video, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it throughout. Share it with a friend, family member, and on social media. And of course, if you have any comments, questions, and concerns, jot that down in the comment section down below the video. I'm here 24/7, all day, all night, to answer any and all questions that you may have. Thank you, everybody, for your support. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful and safe rest of your Tuesday out there.